Oh, well, hello there, neighbor. I didn't see you there. Oh, actually, I'm really glad that you stopped by. I got something I wanted to show you. You see, we review a lot of games here at the Dice Tower, but not everybody gets to do a review for every game, because someone else did it, or there's not enough time to always make every review of Foursquare, and sometimes we play games that other people talk about, and maybe we have some feelings about it that we'd like to share. So this is a new video series called the Rapid Fire Roundup, where we're going to do just that. So come on over, and I'm going to talk about my first set here, and then you'll be seeing others from around the crew doing these as well. So I'll go first, and I'll talk about the games that I've been playing recently, and from here on out, we don't have to do this Mr. Rogers stick. So I'll see you after the intro. Alright everyone, hey, Chris Yee here from the Dice Tower. I'm going to talk about the games that I've been playing recently that I am not doing a full review on. Either someone else has or is shortly going to be doing a review. So I'm going to go through these roughly in my order of ascending preference. These first games here I did not care for, and I'll make that clear. And then the last games are the ones I've been playing that I think are really great that you should check out. So I'm going to start with Whale Riders. This is a Reiner Knizia game that just came out by Grail Games. And I did not enjoy this. It's very simple. You simply move along a track and you pick up resources along the way. But it's easy to kind of get out of sync with what's going on. And if you are the player, me, who is out of sync with everything, it turns into a big slog and you're just waiting for the game to kind of be over. So that was Whale Riders. Not a fan. Tiny Epic Pirates. This is, the umpteenth in the Tiny Epic line. This is a line of games that hasn't really impressed me. I want to enjoy all of them, and Tiny Epic Pirates was another one of those that I looked at and I thought, it's meagerly okay. This is a meager attempt at epic, and I think that it does fine, but nothing about it was particularly fun, and I feel like a lot of it was just a parent who was going to win at a certain point, and that really didn't make it for a very exciting end game. So the whole journey wasn't exciting, the ending wasn't exciting, this game wasn't exciting. Next up I played a game called Seis Castelos, or Six Castles, set in Portugal. I thought the theme was nice, but the art looked like this game was printed 20 years ago. It had a lot of neat ideas, but it didn't quite come together in a good way. The rulebook was literally incomprehensible. I read it in English, read it in Spanish, hoping that maybe that would make more sense, read it again in English, and then had to watch the designer's video explaining how to play the game. And then it made sense. And it wasn't worth it, unfortunately. I think it's a nice love letter of a game to the designer's home country, but it didn't translate to a very good game, and it felt kind of aged, it felt kind of old. Next up I played a game called Gorinto. Gorinto is one that Tom reviewed, and I don't really disagree with anything from his review. It wasn't a terribly exciting game. It was fine, and there were moments that were clever and fun, but it kind of got to a point where it just felt like there were diminishing returns on turns. Now, there are some fun ways to switch out objective cards each round, which does make the game more interesting, but not interesting enough. It just wasn't a great game, and I do not see myself, or very many people, even playing this game too far into the future. Now after that, I was introduced to Summoner Wars 2nd Edition. This is my first time playing Summoner Wars, is with his new edition, and I thought the game is really clever. It is not my type of game. I don't particularly care for these skirmish, head-to-head kind of card games or miniatures combat games. You have to do something really interesting for me to like them, and I liked this. I thought it was good. It's not a game that I'm going to want to pull out very often, but I think the system is really smart. I think that it does a lot of things well, including a cheap entry point, because it is a tactical skirmish game, but it's all on cards. The information is clear. I liked what was going on. There were plenty of surprises. It was not simply a one side pushes forward and the other side pushes back and then push forward and push back. There were a lot of really interesting maneuvers going on, and so this is a game I could see playing again and enjoying, even though it's not one that I'm craving. After Summoner Wars, I played Lions of Lydia. This is one where I liked the game more than I think the other reviewers, and so just a little bit though, just a smidge, and I think that it's a good game. If you haven't looked into Lions of Lydia, it feels like a game that in a good way, feels like an ode to games that were published 10 years ago. Very simple, not a lot of complexity, a tad bit of complexity with a few more of the rules than there should have been, like a little bit of fiddliness. But I think that there's a very simple put out a person, pick up a person kind of a method, get resources. I don't know, something about it charmed me. So while not a favorite, I thought it was a good game, and I think people should try it and try mixing together some of those 8 little modules. Tom kind of raked on this one for calling them expansions. They're really just like a teensy little module, but I had fun mixing those up. After Lines of Lydia, played Cloud Age by possibly my favorite designer, Alexander Pfister. I thought Cloud Age was really smart, really brilliant, but the campaign version of it, the 7-game campaign, is a tad bit long. Not what I wanted out of a campaign. I think it should have been 4 or 5 games, and then you could play the full game from that point onward. And so for that reason, it's not as great as some of his other games, but a nice, smooth, lightweight, semi-deck building kind of a thing. I like this game. This is one of those that is charming, and I can see myself coming back to years down the road. After Cloud Age, we get to the really great games. First off, Cryo. There's a worker placement game that's not too complex. It looks bigger than it really is, but it plays very smooth, very simply. I really enjoyed this one. I cannot say how much fun I've had with it. I foresee there possibly being issues with the longevity and the replayability of it, but for what there is, for a game that I probably won't play more than 5 or 6 times, it's really, really fun 5 or 6 games that you'll get out of it. Next up was Canvas. Super, super lightweight game. This was played as part of the Spring Spectacular Live. You can see that. And it is such an endearing little game. It's so delightful. And you are crafting together these transparent cards that have different little symbols that you want to collect on the bottom in a nice little visual pattern. But also the pictures that come together with these transparencies overlaying each other make really delightful little pictures to look at. The gameplay is smooth. The art is fantastic. You create fun little weird stories out of it, and you can goof around and play with them. Great game. And then lastly, Dune Imperium. I was introduced to this very recently, and I think that this is one of my favorite games that I've played recently. It's so good. It is a mix of deck building and worker placement, where both parts do feel important, the worker placement more than the deck building. There are some issues where if you don't build your deck right, there are moments where the cards will inhibit you from placing your workers places where you want to go simply by the luck of the draw. But like many deck builders, you have to kind of try to spread as much as you can the different symbols that you'll need throughout your deck. So despite that, it's not a pure worker placement, it's not a pure deck building game, but whatever that weird mashup together is super fun. I really enjoy it. I really enjoy the majorities combat that happens at the end of each round. I like it's a tight race to 10 points with very minimal end game scoring, so it makes for a somewhat stressful game, but really good. So those are the games that I've been playing recently that I'm not doing a review for, but I thought that, hey, maybe you'd like to know my opinions on those. Really like these. Hope you enjoyed this rapid-fire roundup format. You'll be seeing these from the rest of the crew as well. So until next time, my name is Chris Yee from the Dice Tower. Thanks so much for coming by.